Welcome everyone. This is a Flask application that I've built that users can register for and create an account to buy and sell paper stocks. So I'll go ahead and dive right into a quick demonstration, and then we can take a look under the hood. We can take a look at the app file. We can take a look at the Flask HTML files and whatnot. So I'm getting the data for the stock information from the IEX Cloud API, where I'm getting live information on what the current stock price is. So we can go ahead and create a new account here. We'll go ahead and register. So test1 will be our username, and test1 will be our password as well. So once we've logged in, we get this welcome dashboard where it'll greet us. It also gives us a dashboard of what current stocks we currently own and how much cash we currently have on hand right now. So if we go over here, we can take a quick look at what the different quotes are. So a share of Home Depot right now costs $327.59. We can get a couple of other quotes as well, look at a few different companies, and then we can head over here and buy 10 shares of Booz Allen. We can say, hey, Amazon's doing pretty well. I want 5 of them as well. And then let's just go with Home Depot. We'll buy 3, for example. So now we've created a portfolio for our user where they own these different stocks, and you can see them on the front page. We also have the option to sell stocks. We can sell our Home Depot stocks. Let's see if I try to sell more than what I currently own. It says, hey, you don't own that many stocks, try again. So try selling our Home Depot stocks again. We'll sell 2 this time. And we've now sold 2 shares of Home Depot. We started with 3, sold 2, and we're left with 1. And we see that the total amount that we had was $10,000, and by buying and selling Home Depot, we've made a profit of, I guess, 13 cents. Or however you want to do the math based on the valuation of Booz and Amazon as well. So we can also take a look at the history of what transactions we've seen. So we see the stocks that we've bought and sold and at what time those transactions happen. We also have the option here to change our password. So I can say, hey, this is my current password and I want to change it to a new one. Go ahead and change your password. So what happens on the back end for a password is that it's encrypted. This way, we're not doing a simple lookup. If X equals Y in the database, we're actually encrypting it and then checking the encryption of whether that matches up with what's in the database or not. And this provides more security. It's more sturdy in case anyone wants to hack my paper trading website. So we can go ahead and log out, and returns us to our login page. So that's our demonstration of the application. I can do a quick walkthrough of our application here. So here we have the app.py file where you see that I'm using an API key from the IEX exchange, as I mentioned earlier. This is allowing us to get live information about the stocks that we want to buy and sell. I'm using a database, finance.db. There's a few different tables inside it, like the portfolio for each user, the transactions for each user, and of course the user login information as well. You can see the different routes here. This is the home page, the dashboard, where we pull information from the user's portfolio and we display them right there for you to see what the user currently owns. We have buy methods, the buy route for the website where we can buy and sell stocks. We see that information here. We're checking if some security features are checking whether the user has enough money to buy the shares that they're looking to buy. So we do a simple comparison here. If they have enough money, go ahead and purchase those shares. If not, return an error to the user. course, once you've bought the shares, we have to update the portfolio so all that information is pulled into the different database tables here accordingly. The transactions needs to also be updated as well as the portfolio. And as I mentioned, if the user does not have enough money, it'll give us an error. The history page is a very simple page here. It just shows us all the stocks that have transacted from the account. We have the login page, the logout page, quote, how users can register. Something that I want to point out here is we do verify the registration parameters. We do check if the user already exists. This way it promotes having unique accounts, which avoids confusion on the back end. We also generate a password hash for the password. This way it prevents passwords from being guessed and also hacked from the back end, well, I guess seen from the back end, so it's more secure. So as you can see here, we generate a password hash, and that stores it into our database here, insert into our database. Once that's done, it then redirects to the home page. After you've logged in, we're using sessions to tell Flask, hey, this is the current user that's logged in, so be sure to pull information from this user ID. We have the sell page, again with security features of not being able to sell more stocks than you own, as I previously demonstrated. It'll also flash you a quick message saying, hey, you've successfully sold the stock. This is a feature that I added recently, was the ability to change your password. So we pull the old password and we pull the new password from what the user enters. And if the old password lines up with what's currently in the database, we go ahead and push this new password and update that value within the user's table. Some helper functions that I've created along the way is an apology, an error that spits out, hey, for whatever reason, this is not working, so return this error. It also removes special characters, as you see here. The login required, we're using, as I mentioned, the session feature from Flask to get the user ID. If session reads a user ID number, then it will proceed to that web page, and if it does not, indicating that a user is not logged in, you cannot access those pages. Again, that further promotes security of, number one, being logged into a page in order to access the buying and selling pages. This is how I'm getting the information from the API, from the IEX Cloud API. So I'm telling it, hey, I have an API key, pull that from my OS. I then go to my URL where I tell it, hey, I'm looking for this specific symbol, and this is my token or my API key. That allows it to pull that information via a JSON response back to me. I then take that response and break it down into a dictionary, a Python dictionary, which makes it easier on the back end for me to tell Flask I'm looking for this specific information, and it can go ahead and pull that. Next, we have our various templates, our HTML pages. I'll just go through one of these. I don't need to go through all of them. So I'm using a layout.html to give the basic framework for how all of the pages look. This eliminates redundancy for each of the pages, and I'm not copying and pasting, and if there's any changes that need to be made, I'm not going into each and every file making those changes. I just need to make changes to my one layout.html file, and that applies to the entire web page, which makes working a lot more streamlined. So I have a block title, index. I have my main block where I am listing out that table for all of the currently owned stocks. I'm passing some variables through. I'm passing stock information, or portfolio information, and reading the stocks in that portfolio and getting the individual information for those stocks. And then, of course, getting cash and the total amount that the user has. I also have the CSS file here. As you can see, it's nice and short. I just have a few colors and the navbar font size, which is extra large. And I guess I can talk a little bit more about Flask sessions. I'm using this to, as I mentioned, indicate that a user is logged in and to pull that information and use that as a safety feature that users cannot access certain pages on the website without having a session active. And you can activate sessions by logging in, of course. So that is a quick demonstration of my finance app. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.